Hello viewers, welcome to my channel Pharmacypedia. In this video, we are going to discuss a topic from BPharm subject packaging and labeling, that is about pharmacopoeial test and specifications of containers and closures. This also refers to quality control test for packaging material. So friends, you must have seen that the packaging material which is generally used are either glass, plastics or the rubber closures. So we are going to discuss about the quality control test, that too pharmacopoeial quality control test for the evaluation of glass, plastics and rubber closures. So when we are concerned with the packaging material, the very first thing which comes into our mind is the extractables and leachables. These are the two things which are a cause of concerns whenever we discuss about the packaging material. So when we talk about the plastic packaging material, the cause of concern is the chemical which is released from the drug process equipments or the packaging under the lab conditions. So when all the tests related to the evaluation of these substances, either for the glass or the packaging or the closures, are basically related to the calculation of the leachables or the calculation of the extractables under specified conditions, and checking whether they are releasing any harmful substance or they are absorbing the substances from the formulation, so that the accuracy of the formulation can be maintained. The formulation remains in the intact form in which it is being packed. Otherwise, what will happen is that the formulation potency will be changed if something is leaching from the packaging material, or if it is or some substance is being absorbed by them. Either permeation or the extraction or the leaching will actually cause the degradation of the API. So let us start. So when we talk about the evaluation of the glass, there are basically four tests which are being prescribed by the pharmacopoeia to be conducted as a part of the quality control of the container systems. These four tests are as following. First is the powder glass test. Second is the water or hydrolytic attack test. Third is the internal bursting pressure test. And fourth is the thermal shock test. So powder glass test, as the name suggests, the glass is basically crushed down. So they both are actually the titration based test. So let us try to understand them. So when we talk about the glass, you can see my previous video also about the packaging material. Glasses are basically of the four types: type 1, type 2, type 3 and type 4. So type 4 is a general glass, type 1 is a soda lime glass, type 2 is a soda lime treated glass. So you can find the details over there. You can see my previous video in the BPharm packaging labeling section. So when we talk about the powder glass test, as the name specifies, we are going to crush down the glass. This test is widely used for the evaluation of glass because it is performed for type 1, type 3 and type 4 glass. It is performed to know the amount of the alkali which is being leached from the glass containers at high temperature. So as I have discussed, as I have told you, that in the powder glass test, we are actually trying to calculate the amount of the alkali which is being released by these glass containers when they are being exposed to high temperature. So this is the procedure for performing this powder glass test. First, you have to take 6 containers which have to be cleaned, dried, crushed or powdered them. Then you have to crush the glass, and then the crushed glass is to be sieved through sieve number 20 first, and then sieve number 50 to obtain particles of the uniform size. Once you have obtained the uniform size particles, so about 10 gram of the crushed glass is then taken into 250 ml of the conical flask, and then again it is washed with acetone. So then it is being transferred into second conical flask and washed the residue crushed glass with high purity water and decanted water to the another conical flask. So it is being washed 2 to 3 times. Then the 50 ml of the high purity water is taken in the above conical flask, which is having 10 grams of the crushed glass, and place it on a water bath at 121 degrees Celsius for 30 minutes, and then it is being allowed to cool. Then a few drops of the methyl red solution is added to the conical flask as an indicator, and it is titrated with 0.02 normal sulfuric acid. The volume of the 0.02 normal sulfuric acid is being required to reach the end point, and when the indicator changes the color, and it should not exceed the prescribed limit. So how much volume is being consumed while you do the titration, that will actually tell you the amount of the alkali being released. So again, the water attack test, also known as the hydrolytic test. So in this test, we are not actually crushing the glass. The whole glass is being checked without breaking down. So this test is used to know the amount of the alkali which is leached out from the type 2 glass. So first touch glass test was recommended for type 1, type 3 and type 4 glass. For type 2 glass, we carry out the water attack test. So this test is performed on the intact container. So the container need not to be broken down, or the whole container, and hence it is also known as the whole container test. So this is the process for performing the whole container test. You first have to take the three containers and rinse them with the high purity water, then fill each container to 90% of its overflow capacity. You have to fill it up actually to 90% level. Then you need to cap down all the containers and autoclave it at high temperature of 121 degrees Celsius for 60 minutes. Then you need to take out the contents of the water into conical flask, cool down, and add again the 5 drops of the methyl red solution. This is again the indicator. And then again same sort of the titration is being performed with the 0.02 normal sulfuric acid, and the volume of the sulfuric acid is noted down, which is required to reach the end point of the titration. So if you, for the purpose of knowing which glass type is there and what are the limits prescribed, you can refer this table. For the type 1 glass, you need to, the minimum prescribed limit is you need to have 1 ml of the 0.02 normal sulfuric acid. If it is being consuming, that means it is more than 1 ml, that means it is failing the test. So in 1 ml of the 0.02 normal sulfuric acid, you should be able to reach the end point. For type 2 glass, the prescribed limit is 0.7 ml of the sulfuric acid. So if it is exceeding this limit, that means that is failing the test. If it is below this limit or at this limit, that means it is passing the test. Type 3 glass, soda lime glass. So again, the limit set is 8.5 ml. Then for the type 4 glass, the limit set is 15 ml. So this is the limits are different because the composition of glass is different. Some is having the coating of alkali treated soda lime glass. These non-parental glasses have the higher values. So it all depends on the composition of the glass. So the alkali being leached out is different in each. So USP allows the different levels of the sulfuric acid which is being required as per the alkali leached out. The third test which is used to perform for the glass is the thermal shock test. Now this test is done to evaluate whether the glass will withstand a large temperature difference. You must have seen that they are not susceptible to the temperature difference. So in this test, simply the glass containers are placed in the upright position in a tray which is immersed in the hot water bath for a specific time period, and then immediately it is transferred to a cold water bath for specified time period. So the containers are then evaluated for surface cracks or breakage of the glass. Commonly, the difference of 45 degrees Celsius of temperature is used to perform this test. Then the fourth test which is used for the quality control test of glasses is the internal bursting pressure test. So as the name indicates, this is the most common instrument which is used as the American Glass Research Increment Pressure Tester. In this test, the test bottle with the proper cap is filled with the water first and then placed in the test chamber. The internal pressure is raised at a fixed time period in fixed increments. Then the pressure at which the container will show sign of the cracking or the breakage is noted down. So how much pressure the glass is able to withstand, that is actually giving you the strength of the glass container. So again, this is a very important test for the quality control evaluation of the glass. Next, we move on to the evaluation of another packaging material, that is plastics. Plastics are widely used as a pharmaceutical packaging material. The quality concerns for the plastics are more. Again, the same problem as noticed in the cases of the glasses, like extractables, leachables, permeation, have to be performed in the case of plastics as well. So the commonly used tests which are used to prescribe and test for the quality control for plastics are like leakage test, collapsibility test, transparency test, water vapor permeability test, or like bacteriology test, etc. Apart from that, there are other tests like clarity aqueous extract test, or the biological test, systemic injection test, intracutaneous test, eye irritation test on rabbits. You must have seen that this is also another important test. Resistance to stress test, resistance to temperature variation, just now as we have seen for the glass. So there are n number of the tests, but in this video we are going to discuss about the few pharmacopoeial tests. For example, the leakage test, collapsibility, transparency, water vapor permeability test, and other important tests. So first test in which every pharmacopoeia prescribes is about the leakage test. So in this, for the evaluation of the plastics, for in this test we actually take about 10 containers which are filled with water, and then fit them with the closures. So then we need to keep them in the inverted position for about 24 hours at 25 degrees Celsius. So there should not be any sign of the leakage from the container. So again, this is a very simple test just for checking the leakage capacity, whether the container closure integrity is being maintained. The second test is the water vapor permeability test. Again, this is very important test as a quality control measure for the evaluation of the plastics. So for this test, we need to fill 5 containers with nominal volume of the water, that is up to the brim of the container. Then heat seal them with the aluminum foil polyethylene laminate. Then we weigh each container accurately and allow it to stand for 14 days at the temperature of 25 degrees Celsius and 60% humidity. Now then, after 14 days, we need to reweigh the containers, and the loss in the weight calculated, which should not be more than 0.2%. So the initial weight minus the final weight, it should not exceed more than 0.2%. Why this weight variation will be there? Because water vapor permeability takes place in those 14 days. So as the water is being permeated through the pores, the weight is going to decrease. So this weight variation will tell you how much extent of the water vapor permeability is actually taking place. So this is again the same test. The point to be noted here is that if it is exceeding more than 2.2%, the batch will fail. If it is lying below the 0.2% weight variation level, the batch will be considered as a passed batch. Now, the next test, which is important in the case of the plastics, which is a pharmacopoeial test, is the transparency test. It is performed whether the plastic is transparent or not. So, in this test, 5 empty containers are filled with diluted suspensions to their nominal volumes. The cloudiness of the container is checked and compared with the containers filled with water. So, you are just checking whether it is transparent or not. The next test is the collapsibility test. In this test, the test is performed on the containers which have to be squeezed in order to remove the contents. A container by collapsible inwards during use yields at least 90% of its nominal content at the required rate of flow at room temperature. So it is generally used in the case where plastics are used for the evacuation of their substances. So it is performed when the substance is required to be squeezed out to checking the collapsibility of the tube. So whether it is at least 90% of the nominal volume should be allowed to come out. Now, if it is allowing less than 90%, that means it is failing the test. Next is the biological testing. This test is performed for the containers which are used to store the product, which are meant for the internal use, parenterals, creams, ophthalmics, etc. So, USP has provided its procedure for checking the toxicity of the plastic containers. Then another is the light resistance testing. As the name indicates, it is meant for the containers which are having the light sensitivity for the storage of light sensitive products. Some products have to be protected from the light, so they are known as the light sensitive products. For this, samples of the containers material mounted in a spectrophotometer, and light emission transmission between 290 to 450 nanometers is measured. So the larger the light transmitted, which is allowed for the smaller containers, then larger ones because of the reduced surface area. So basically, through this transmittance technique, you are trying to analyze how much is the resistance to light is being procured. It should not allow the permeation of the light, since the product otherwise will degrade. So it will only be passed when if it is having providing the light resistance, and then only the product will remain safe into that container. Next, we move on to the another packaging material, that is again rubber. Rubbers are the closures part which are widely used in the as a packaging material in pharma industry. So when we talk about the rubber, although there are a number of tests like sterility test, pH of the aqueous extract test, light absorption test, reducing substance test, residues in evaporations, but in this video we are going to discuss about only pharmacopoeial test for the rubber evaluation. The first is the penetrability. So it is measured to check the force which is needed to penetrate the hypodermic needles easily through the rubber closure. So it is measured using piercing machine. The piercing force must not exceed a stated value. If it exceeds that stated value, then the hypodermic needles can be damaged. So needles have to pass through these rubber closures, so they need some sort of the penetrability. So that if it should not exceed that penetrability value. If it is exceeding that it should not be that much hard that needles are not able to penetrate. So that feasibility, that penetrability is required. So if the value is exceeding that, that will be measured by the machine, and in that case it will damage to the needle. So no, for ensuring that there is no damage to the rubber, it must be below that level. The second is the fragmentation test. Again, this is very important test. So for this test, we need to take 20 containers and fit them with the rubber closures on each container. Each closure is then penetrated by the hypodermic needle using a piercing machine 5 times in a limited area. In a particular area, 5 times. Then the needle is washed to transfer any fragment present in the needle. So the contents are filtered through colored paper and fragments present are counted. We should not exceed than 3 per unit. So the again test is very simple. You are trying to figure out any sort of the fragment which is while piercing the rubber closure is actually passing into the needle. So the limit allowed is it should not exceed 3 per unit. So if it is exceeding more than 3 per unit, more than 3 fragments are being found out, that means it is failing the test. Rubber part is failing. If it is not allowed, it is below the 3 level, it is passing the test. The next test is the self-sealability test. As the name indicate, we need to take the 10 vials and fill them with the water and secure them with the rubber closures. So using the separate needles, pierce each closure 10 times in different places in the closures. Then again immerse the vials in the upright position in methylene blue solution at reduced pressure for 10 minutes. Then restore the atmospheric pressure and leave the vials in solution for 30 minutes. So rinse the outside of the vial and observe the color of the vial inside the vials. Color of the water inside the vials. So if any vial has a blue color inside of it, then rubber is not self-sealable. So this is again very important test in rubbers. After even penetrating the needles, it should have the self-sealability. So if the self-sealability is there, then there will be no color. If the self-sealability is not there, that means color is being drained out. In that case, it is not suitable for the packaging. So the test is considered to be failed. Then the another test which is being carried out for the evaluation of rubbers is the extractive test. As the name indicates, in this test the closure is boiled with water for 4 hours under the reflux and the water is evaporated to dryness. So the residue must not exceed the stated value. Now these stated values are the pharmacopoeial values, and if the stated values are exceeded, it clearly means it is failing the test. If the stated values are not exceeded, it means the container is passing the test. Thank you so much everyone for watching my video. Please do like, share and subscribe to Pharmacypedia for getting further updates. I hope it is going to help BPharm packaging students. In case of any doubt, please feel free to revert back. You can also give your comments in the comment box. Also share any topic which you feel difficulty in studying that can be looked up. Thank you so much for your patience listening. Thank you so much.